Go. Hello, everybody. We are Geeks Assembled, and today we will be reviewing the Guillermo Del Toro 2017 film, The Shape of Water. So let's go to our panel that we have today and give a big hello to our friend Connor. What are your opening thoughts and feelings of The Shape of Water?
Hello. I thought it's all right. It's like a fantasy story about a woman falling in love with a fish. It's very much Splash too, for anyone that's seen that old Tom Hanks film. I don't think it deserved the accolades it got though. Very kind of 2017 was such a huge kind of year for films. There were so many good films. And this kind of came out of nowhere. Guillermo Del Toro released it and it kind of blew everything out of the water. It dominated the awards season, winning Best Picture, Best Director, Best Writer as well, I think. Or Best Screenplay, as it's known in the Oscars. And to be honest, like I've seen it twice now, and it's good, but it's just I don't really see the whole magic of it. It's an intriguing plot. I like how at the end she gets turned into a fish, with gills. That's a pretty cool ending. But the whole kind of like animal being abused, they need to rescue the animal and then look after the animal and then release it back into the wild. It's just sort of kind of very basic and by the numbers. Having said that, Guillermo del Toro is renowned for being weird, and there's many, many weird moments in this. There's a lot of eggs. I like the kind of illusionary, magical black and white dance scene, particularly. That's my one of my favourite kind of, I guess, weird moments in it. And then Sally Hawkins doing some business in the bath with her hand and her cat. Yeah, it's very on the sexualized side as well. I think it's very oftentimes in your face with the sexualized aspect of it. Having her as a mute, I thought was very clever because that gave her kind of a reason to be so attracted and have an affinity towards the fish, because the fish was pretty much in the same position. It's a humanoid-looking fish that can't speak. It's an amphibian that's not got any vocal power. It can't defend itself from the humans. Michael Shannon's character, who's fantastic in this. And she kind of relates to it, and that is a nice relationship. I just don't think that the story is really as enthralling as the award ceremonies and sometimes the critics would have you believe.
Right then, over to Lee. Have you got an egg timer?
I'll just go and boil some eggs. I sort of agree with what Connor said about, I don't know why this got all these accolades. It's a damn good movie. It's shot brilliantly. The camera work on this is awesome. It's a fairy tale set in the early 1960s, which I like. The atmosphere of that is just brilliantly done. The costumes, it's just the feeling of it. You get the feel of that era, the Cold War era. I agree with that. Sally Hawkins making her a mute works so well, and as well for an actress to come across on the screen playing a mute but getting all the emotions and feelings across works so well. Doug Jones as the fishman. If you want a fishman playing, always go to Doug Jones. is top class. And Connor said Michael Shannon. I don't really rate him as an actor. I hated him in Man of Steel as General Zod. I thought he was so wooden in that role, but in this, he just oozes evil. Yeah. And he gets his comeuppance in the end, of course. And well, and as we say, his smelly fingers, and the woman in the bath with her smelly fingers. We won't go out there. I mean, I was shocked to see that scene. The scene that was done twice in the movie. I mean, the best thing was 3 minutes into the movie, in the bath. There you are, masturbating. What you gonna? Maybe that's why it got the Oscar. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, all in all, the acting is great. The atmosphere of it's brilliant. But I just don't see how this got praised and praised and praised. When, as Connor said, there was loads of damn good movies out of the same year. But over to you, Jake.
All right. Let's go to Croydon. What do you think of egg timers and smelly fingers, Phil?
I wouldn't know anything about them. I don't eat eggs. I saw this film for the first time in the cinema when it came out, and knew nothing about it. And it was lovely to revisit it. Actually, I wasn't aware about how many awards it had won and all that kind of thing. But I really like the film. It's my kind of thing. I like the sort of Jeunet and Caro kind of stylized fantasy romance films, like City of Lost Children and stuff like that. And it felt kind of like part of that, although it wasn't quite as fantastical because it obviously was set in a realistic setting. But I really enjoyed it. I think the art direction on it, anyway, yes, it's far-fetched and all of that, but I think it's a romance. Yeah, I mean, it's odd, some of those scenes, like you're saying, her pleasuring herself in the water, but I guess that's just setting up her relationship with water, and love and sex, I guess, because that's clearly the only place where she does it. So I guess that's what that was, in a way, was setting that relationship up with water. But didn't really bother me, per se. I think it was very interesting. I think, especially, to be honest, with some of the events that have been going on in the last week or so in the news, that time as well, in terms of how anything that is different is treated, by the, by that sort of FBI character or whoever he was, the CIA or FBI or whatever, whatever he was doing the torturing and stuff like that. It's treated not as a sentient piece, but as an experiment, as a lump of meat, really. But yeah, I thought it was. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, quite gory, a bit gorier than I'd probably like at times. Maybe the tone is a bit uneven at times. Yeah, but yeah.
Oh, thank you, Phil. Right, now over to Tottenham with Philip. Do you like yourself a scaly man like she did?
I like my man to be scaly and nice and slimy. Yeah, also. Not quite sure about eggs though. But anyway, this movie, I'd never seen it before. It was the first time I saw it last night or the night before. And I was kind of blown away by its weirdness, because it is weird. I mean, the most extreme bit for me is when they're making love in a room full of water. And the only way the water stops the water from coming out is she puts a towel underneath the door, and it's all. I don't bloody work, because I tried that. But yeah, kudos to Sally Hawkins for playing the mute girl. She did very well. She's not the most prettiest of women, and I don't know why the Fishman would even want to poke that, but there you go. And Michael Shannon, do you know what? I like the camera shading always make him look like he's in dark shadowing, so you get to that menacing look, kind of like B-movie type look about him all the time. And the gross, and that gross bit when he's in that black woman's house with her husband, and he rips his fingers off and just chucks them on the floor. It's like gross. And yeah, Phil, you're right. It's the most grossest film I've ever watched, really. And her doing her, knuckle shuffle. Well, that's her pleasure, not mine. But good girl. And what else? The makeups in the movie. Doug Jones. I don't know how Doug Jones does it, wearing amphibious fish suits in all the movies that he's done. I mean, he's done it before in A League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, playing an amphibian. So he's quite well known for that. And again, in Star Trek Discovery, playing that long-gated alien with a big old heel.
And Hellboy.
Yeah, and Hellboy. Yes. So yeah, kudos to him. The movie's just bizarre, really. Drop an acid, you'll be all right with it. That's all I can say about it, really.
Thank you, Philip. Now, I went to see this in the cinema with my mum, and it was such an incredible experience in the cinema watching this film. I think this film deserved every award it got, even the Oscar. It had a beautiful soundtrack, beautiful films, great characters, great acting, great settings, great creature design. This is probably why it's one of my favourite movies. It's even in my top 10. I just found this a wonderful film. And kudos to the lady who played the mute girl. She was wonderful. And what an ingenious idea to have this mute character as the star of a film and this mute creature that he falls in love with, like Phil said. It really was a beautiful relationship between the two. Even though it was a little bit weird, but you can't have Guillermo Del Toro without the weirdness. But Mike Shannon was it? Every time I see him in something, he's got such a punchable face, including in this film. And I saw him in this film, I was like, oh, I just want to punch him. Other stuff he was doing to Eliza and the black lady, I was like, mate, I just want to give you a right hooking. And speaking of the coloured woman, I cannot remember her name. I looked her up yesterday. She's been doing quite good with herself recently. She's been getting higher and higher with like films like Mama. Cannot remember her name, but I thought she was superb in this film. Yeah, Octavia Spencer. Thank you, Connor. I liked A Neighbour, the gay man. This film dealt with so many political issues: racism, sexuality, like
homophobia.
And it was I did admit on the rewatch I skipped the homophobia bit because it makes me so uncomfortable. But yeah, it is a good film. So let's get on to our favourite moments. I presume there'll be many from lots of us because there is so many. Let's start with Lee. What are your favourite moments from this film?
I just like the weirdness of it and the darkness of it. As I say, it's beautifully shot, and the music in this is brilliant. Jake will most probably go on about his favourite song in this. The darkness of the FBI or the CIA man is so chillingly with the racism and all of that. It just comes across the screen that is when he storms into the woman's house, wanting answers. Even before that, when he sort of intimidates them in the toilet while he goes to the toilet, they're stood there. He intimidates them. But it's the scenery, it's the way it's filmed. As you said, that the one where they fill the bathroom up with water. It's sort of it's fantasy, of course. Yeah, a bathroom door would never withstand that. But yeah, I just like the way it's shot and the way the era it's sitting. It is a magical movie. I enjoyed watching it again. Like I say, is it one of the best movies ever? I don't think it is, but it's still enjoyable. Over to you, Jake.
Thank you, Lee. Right, back over to Tottingham. Philip, what are your favourite moments?
Favourite moments? I just think the connection that Sally Hawkins' character, Eliza, builds up with the Fishman. With going there playing record player music to it and leaving eggs for it to eat and stuff like that. I think the build up of their friendship is what makes the movie for me, because in the end they get their oats and they get their happy ending, really. So I think that's the most important part of the movie, them building that friendship and connection.
Right. Over to Phil. What are your favourite moments?
It's quite hard, I think, actually, to pick favourite moments, because I was quite gripped by the whole thing, really. I think, yeah, that the build of the romance between Sally Hawkins' character and the creature was very touchingly done. And beautifully done as well. I mean, it is a beautiful film, whether or not, yes, it's strange and it's weird, but it's beautiful. Yeah, the art direction, the color of it, everything has greens and blues in it, and then there's the odd dash of red. As she becomes more confident, as she starts to, find herself, then all of a sudden she's wearing red shoes, and then you see her, I think, in a red coat or something later on. It's like color is used creatively and intelligently throughout the whole thing. But yeah, to pick moments, yeah, I'm not sure I can pick many more specific real moments of it, but yeah, just enjoyed the whole thing.
All right, thank you, Phil. Over to Connor. What are your favourite moments?
I just kind of like the Del Toro-ness of it. The Del Toro. It is very weird. It's, as I said, the story's predictable, but it doesn't. It kind of he breaks it up because he does the occasional weird moment with it, like when they're sat at the table, as I said earlier, and suddenly kind of like a spotlight goes on Sally Hawkins as Eliza, and it then just kind of goes into this whole dream state, black and white dance number. I like it works well because it is a fairy tale. I think that the story is written very much like a fairy tale, and there's something very grimy about the film. I think it almost feels like water. Really, it's very fluid and it's very grimy in some aspects, but it's. I think, yeah, the character work is probably the bit, if I was, and the direction as well, are the two things that I'd say would stand out the most. Michael Shannon, I haven't seen him in many movies. The last one that I saw him in myself was Knives Out, and he's great in that. But he does villainous really well, I think. And it kind of, he suited this film well. You can easily miscast a villain. I think you can overplay a role like that because he was very kind of B-movie and very, he kind of, I don't know the word for it. Anyway, one thing I did like actually about the movie is how I don't think that they ever really picked back up on Michael Shannon's character's home life. I actually originally thought that he killed his wife when they were having sex near the beginning, when he first went back to the house, because he was talking about how he likes everything to be quiet and silent and stuff. And he kind of put his hand over her mouth. And, that's the start of like someone smothering another person. So I thought that there was a bit of mystery going on there. But yeah, I think mainly it's Del Toro as the director really that kind of made this movie somewhat enchanting and watchable, but I wouldn't say it was one of my favourite films. So it's difficult for me to really pick out favourite moments.
That's right. Like same with Phil. I'm really struggling to find my favourite moments because I enjoy it so much. I do think it's one of them cinematic masterpieces that Guillermo Del Toro does. It's so weird, it's so wonderful, it's so touching, but it's also dark and gritty at the same time. And obviously people that know me in this group know that I like dark and gritty things. and this has an aspect of dark and gritty, but it's nice. It's nicely yin and yanged with the light, fluffy stuff too. But like what Philip said, with her playing music to the monsters, I love the creature. I love the story, like the scenes like that. And Doug Jones did such a wonderful job as this creature with his movements, the way he looked graceful. There wasn't one bit where we were like, oh, he's moving a bit sluggishly. He moved so gracefully in this. He must be sweating his arse off in this latex, but it's beautiful. It's like ballet, like a dancing scene. He's just graceful in every costume he's done. And then there's that scene where it's her and a neighbour sitting on the sofa and they start doing their tap dance thing together. I thought that was cute because I like their relationship. I liked the relationship Eliza had with every one of the characters. It was really touching that they all try and include her with everything in their lives, like her, Octavia Spencer, like Octavia Spencer's character, and the neighbour that always try and include her in things. And I really like that as someone with a disability, that something like that like she has that friendship group that she can fall back on. Like you see in the movie, you have her phoning up Octavia Spencer's character, her phoning her up, her phoning that, and they got their own little system that if you can hear me, tap on the phone, and it was good. And even though I didn't like Mike Shannon's, like, I want to punch him, I still didn't think he was a good villain. And when he got killed by Amphibian Man, I did get very happy and did scream for joy that he was now bleeding out on the ground, because it's what he deserved, because he was such an arsehole. And I agree with what Philip said, the bit where he ripped his fingers off was really manky, even though I was like, oh my God. And yeah, it's a solid film. So shall we open the floor? Have any of you got anything you want to say about it? Or should I go straight on to final say and score? Final say and score? So let's go.
Yeah, I mean, the bit with the fingers reminded me of The Fly with Jeff Goldblum, when he takes his, when he's transforming into the fly and he takes his nails off. He peels his nails off. Really boring.
Nails. It's like in the film we reviewed last week. District.
They did it in the Doctor Who. They did it in the Doctor Who TV movie as well.
It's very body horror. It is really.
Yeah, I mean, there were only odd moments, but you know, I thought it was. I mean, it was well acted, wasn't it? It was well performed. Yeah, as you say,
Doug Jones, find a fault with
the physicality of all of them, really. You know, yes, obviously some of the characters have a voice, but
yeah,
you know, yeah,
it's a beautiful film. Right,
really good.
On that note from Phil, we should go on to final say and score. Let's start with Connor. What's your final say and score?
I'll give it an 8 out of 10. The score, actually, the soundtrack of the movie. One thing that kind of interested me about it is that there was moments where they could have used like big drum bass music, like when on the escape from the facility and the kidnapping of the Amphibian Man, but they didn't. They used kind of that 1920s sort of cabaret music instead. That was an interesting choice, I thought, for my final spot. But yeah, I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
Oh, let's go to Lee. What's your final say and score?
Final say and score. Finally, there's a cure for baldness in this movie. Well, you know, the guy was very happy with that. Yeah, it's an enjoyable movie. It's a fantastical movie. It's a thrill to watch. So, but I'm going to give it a 8.5 sticky fingers out of 10.
All right, then. On that note, let's go to Phil. What is your final say and score?
Yes, really imaginative film. Beautiful film. Not the best film I've ever seen, but I'll give it a 9, I think.
Right, have I got Philip? Did I get Philip's final say and score? Right, Owen of Tottenham with his final say and score.
Um, this, like I said, it's the first time I've seen it. I thought it was very well done and very well crafted. So it didn't pull any punches in no shape or form, which is quite good because some films shy away from being a bit too explicit, and it was somewhat explicit to a certain point, but it was enjoyable to watch. So yeah, I'm going to give it. You know what? I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
But right, and with me, I really thoroughly enjoy this film. I think it's beautiful. It isn't anything I've ever seen before. That's why I resonated it with so much. I'm going to give it a 10 because I really do enjoy it. And on that note, I'd like to thank you for watching, these lovely guys for joining me. If you want to join us, hit us up on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Comment below if you also like this film. Don't forget to like, subscribe and ring the bell. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.